It's another edition of Gage Live. I wish you knew what we went through just to see that we have this edition up and running. We are going to have Dr. Akindele, who happens to be the CEO of Courtville PLC, and to come join us and discuss how he was able to build the first tech company to be on the Nigeria stock market. So he's someone that we are going to learn so much about. Apart from learning from him, we are going to you understand the fact that the conditions surrounding our environment, the environmental factors, how you can use it to build a multinational enterprise, an enterprise that will have big impact on the people or the environment where it exists. So let me get Dr. Akindele to join us now. I think he's, and so we can start the interview almost immediately. So I'm hoping we are going to have a very interesting one. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
It's good to have you on Gage Live.
My pleasure to be here. My pleasure.
Thank you so much, sir. While we are waiting for more of our audience to keep building, we just want to tell you a bit about Gage. Gage Award, it's a platform that we set up to celebrate the most interesting innovations and individuals in the tech space in Nigeria. And for the fact that you're one of those people that has helped to inspire, grow, and develop the tech space in Nigeria, we just have to have you on this kind of influential platform. And we had our first Gage Awards in February 22nd this year, and since then we've been developing the brand. Thank you very much for coming on Gage Live.
My pleasure.
Yeah. I'd like to go straight away. Sir, can you just tell us a bit about you so that the audience understands who we are talking to and why we had to get you on our platform?
Okay, so my name is Adebola Akindele. I'm the Group Managing Director, Codley Business Solutions PLC. And my background academically is in agriculture. I have my first degree in animal science at the University of Ife, 1984. And thereafter, I qualified as a chartered accountant in 1990 May. And in that space of time, I had trained with KPMG, Pitmavic, and Ogunde and Co. So I did my articleship in that audit firm at that time. And I had also worked in Central Bank in the Agri department and the bank examination department up until 1993 when I went into the private sector, banking system. Joined the Shiny Bank in 1993. I was there till 1999 ending, and then moved on to Fountain Trust Bank in 2000 to 2004. And I promoted Codley Investment Limited, as it was then known, in 2004, to operate in the financial space, financial space, because I was coming off of a banking background, and I moved into something I thought I was most comfortable with, and that's what we started with. But within a period of 3 years or so, within 3 years, we moved out of the SEC-registered business advisory firm system business that we were running then into what we call a more mass market-oriented, provision of services. And that is where we came up with the Auto-Red franchise in 2007 that we launched in Lagos State. And then the story, started from there for Codley. And to a large extent, my banking history kind of ended there and started this, so-called fintech, the beginnings of fintech in Nigeria, if not in the subcontinent at that time. And we had gone on from the Auto-Reg services into, provision of of services, designing, developing, and implementing systems for institutions like NAFDAC, Nigeria Insurance Association, and a few other private sector institutions. And we are 15 years now. I also have, a master's degree from Unilag in 1993. Yes, it's getting more and more difficult to remember these things now. 1993 in banking and finance, masters of banking and finance, not MSc, and I also have a DBA, doctorate of business admin from the International School of Management in Paris. So that essentially is who I am. I'm 57, and I'm still here.
Wow! It's a loaded CV. Thank you. How did you transition from banking into the tech space? What was the challenging?
It was a survivalist, effort, I would say. We were needed to, as a SEC registered business advisory firm in 2004. We were not doing too badly. We were working with the large local corporates. We had very strong indigenous large corporates on our portfolio. We had the likes of the AIC group. We had the likes of the Chisco group, the Beto group. We had, a few of the large corporates that, I had worked with in my, past banking, experience. And they transitioned from just being customers to kind of, friends, most of them. So it was easy for them to see that, look, we know what this man or this person is capable of doing. We know what he's capable of doing. So it was easy for them to convert from just being banking customers to me into being private sector customers to me. In fact, there was a time at the beginning, our first major project was to totally manage the Chisco group as a whole. And we did that for a couple of years. And at the same time, we were just trying to put our hands in a lot of pots at this time. But we were kind of struggling to be visible in that space. We were struggling to be, we were doing well enough, but we were not visible. We had the likes of KPMG, KPMG, PwC, Deloitte, the very big, whales in the ocean. And there we were. There we were trying to just, even in Nigeria, it was getting more and more difficult to expand beyond personal and old relationships. And for those guys, they will go out there, they will stay in their offices, and people will go and throw jobs and beg them to do jobs for them. We had to go and source for jobs, market, convince them, probably did better jobs at whatever we were going to do, but we were not well paid. Getting paid was difficult. So we knew that it was going to be a matter of time before the lethargy was upsetting. And in my last call as a banker, I worked in a small bank that was transitioning from a merchant banking system into what they call a universal banking system. And that's why I was brought on board. And I joined, I had to be the commercial banker. So I had to introduce a lot of things that I had known. And as part of it, we knew we didn't have the kind of size in terms of spread and in terms of capital to be able to, compete with the very big banks, First Bank, Zenith Bank, GT Bank, all those banks, UBA. And the only way we could compete in any way was to employ what was just novel at that time, the internet. So we went with the internet banking in order to be able to project ourselves into the consciousness of customers. And we started by employing what we call the FTAS, Fountain Trust Automated Payment System. It projected us because at that time we were able to work with DSTV, MultiChoice, with Airtel, it was Econet, and the MTN. So we were able to collect little, make collections for them, little amounts. And it was easy. We digitalized it. And so that was the background I was coming from. It was necessary for us to be able to use the internet and technology to get to our customers. We did not have the reach. That's what I brought into Cordville eventually. And I've been thinking about the challenges with vehicle licensing at that time. It was fraught with a lot of problems, a lot of challenges, touting, counterfeiting, difficult. Even to be able to get your vehicle license out would be about a week or two, or and we knew that there was no data. So all this confronted every single motorist, and the government itself, the state government itself, that was charged with administering these road tax systems, were also frustrated. They were losing revenue. They were losing a lot of things. So we came up with what became the Auto franchise. And how did we do that? We looked at the challenges, and that is where you separate digitalization, automation, from actually providing what you call automated services. And you looked at the challenges, and you drew from those challenges, you drew what you call your what becomes your objectives for the service you want to provide. Because you are not providing what you think they need. You are providing a solution to what they are facing. So the objectives had to then be to stop counterfeiting, to stop the time wasted in getting documents, to create a database for government, and to make sure that the motorists themselves are comfortable that whenever they get any document from government, they could be sure that they had the right thing. And that's what we set out as our objectives. Thank God, because when you want to do anything strong, start from the toughest platform. Lagos still provides the toughest, most challenging, and the most robust system for you to test any product or any service. We were given our first shot in Lagos State towards the end of 2006. We started in 2000. Story is what we know so far now. So we've been in this for 13 years now. Starting from Lagos State, we are now in about 24, 25 states. We are all over there, in Jamaica. We have been able to do a few things around Africa. And
so did I even say Jamaica?
Yes. We have our operations in Jamaica. It's called Codville Province Loss Adjusters Jamaica Limited.
Wow. So you whatever solution worked in Nigeria, you were able to scale it up and expand it to Jamaica?
Yes. It's a whole platter of services on the platform, and it can be adapted to fit anything that requires or that is able to fit into collection that is periodic in nature, that is regular in nature in terms of payment, regular in payment, that is fixed in terms of amount collected. Once those three ingredients are there, you can apply anything that we do the Auto franchise to. You can apply to it.
Wow. So sir, I'll take you off a bit of I'll take you a bit off court view, and I'll bring you back again to court view. I want to ask you a question that has to do with Nigeria, because we have a lot of youths on this platform. Is Nigeria today the country you anticipated it to be 20 years ago?
20 years ago would be 2000, right? Well, yes. Not exactly. I would not say so. 2000 was just the beginning of the internet, awareness in Nigeria. The best that any one of us could, expect to be in terms of being aware of technology in this space of fintech was to have an email address and be able to solve Yahoo, solve on Yahoo and all that. We were still very, very bogged down. 2012. You needed size as a bank. You needed the volume of resources that you from your capital. You needed to have the people. You needed to know a lot of people in different places. You needed to sell to people what you thought they wanted. And a lot of things were just offshoots or extensions of the services that had been in the system from 1960 something. And the technology has changed the landscape for practically everything now. We are talking about 20 years, for God's sake. In the past 20 years, we have the whole world, unfortunately, not including Nigeria so much. The whole world has moved from what it used to be into the current industrial revolution. It's the technology revolution across the world. across the world. Africa has been left behind to a large extent, but we will get there. The point is that those of us that were there on the at the threshold of the 2000 that were supposed to have been part of the takeoff into the new system. We were not that aware. We were not that good. We were not good enough. We were not that entrenched in technology to be able to take it forward and join and be able to compete effectively. But then our young people are catching up very, very fast. I've always told them, you do not need to have too much except your brain.
Where we are coming from as a nation, you looked at the problem around Nigeria. You looked at 2000 and said that it's about solving problems. But in terms of the environmental factor that will create the environment for the growth of innovative ideas, do you think Nigeria has been able to fulfill that kind of has given the innovators the platform to come up with innovative ideas? Because
maybe to an extent. Maybe to an extent. Yes. Maybe to an extent. I'll say this. At the very least, we can talk about the fact that democracy came in and opened up a lot of frontiers. All right, for people to be able to exercise their minds and their abilities. Now, the next thing is the fact that the first 10 years or so, from 1999, also allowed a lot of us to be able to grow into areas that were not particularly interesting to most entrepreneurs in the past. And we've had the advent of a lot of opportunities coming because now, from that time on till now, Nigeria has the status of Nigeria internationally has changed. People trust us a lot more now. A lot of investment has come in. A lot of interest has been shown in the fact that we have the most sizable population of potential, labor force, very experienced, educated labor force going forward. Now, we also know that because of the fact that for the past 21 years or so now, we have been unable to fulfill what I imagine should have been the destiny of Nigeria and Nigerians as a country within Africa and globally. It allows us to continue to work within the chaos, because that's what it is the chaos, the dysfunction that pervades a lot of processes and procedures. But let me tell you where the opportunities lie. And I tell you this, if you have a system that is that settled, and people should listen to this, especially the younger entrepreneurs, if you have a system that is very established, very settled, and everything is working perfectly, you can hardly find opportunities to grow.
Yes, sir.
It is in the chaos. It is in the chaos, the dysfunction that you see. My own definition of chaos is defined as the clashing of bodies in space. Everything in different directions, clashing. And what that does is to generate the kind of energy, the kind of heat that provides you with the energy and the impetus to be able to move and do
things. Sir.
We have this function. Anything that has what I call the gaps and overlaps in the system provide the opportunities for us to be able to build system that works. This is the only way. It's the only kind of system that can get you to be that rich, to be that wealthy. It is where you position yourself to be able to take advantage of what people lack. Gaps in systems and procedures, overlaps in systems, they create inefficiencies. Work on inefficiencies, and you find yourself supplying the needs that people have.
Wow. This has always been my views about the Nigerian environment. I say Nigeria is a big lab. Once you are able to solve a problem, it gives us an opportunity to solve a problem that will have global impact. Once you are able to solve a local problem in Nigeria, it can have a global impact. Like you're talking about auto rage, and you're talking about Jamaica. It sounded strange in my ears, but it's also motivating to know that a platform is something that was created to solve a problem in Nigeria is now being implemented in a Caribbean country. It's really wonderful. And I thank you so much. If that's one of the things we picked up from this conversation, it's really wonderful. But I want to also ask you this question, sir. This is a very, very important direction you are taking us to now. You've come up with a solution for NAFDAC. You've been able to come up with a solution for like the auto rage and all that. So it seems like your enterprise looks at Nigeria and say, hey, this country creates a lot of opportunities. This has not been automated. This has not been digitalized. There's a lot of opportunities in all these places. Let us digitalize these platforms and make it work for Nigerians. Now, it's one thing to have the expertise to think that way. It's another thing to have the influence to be able to get these people to give you the approvals you need. Because it's very easy. Ideas, it's there in Nigerians. Young minds to translate these ideas to workable solutions are there. There are many. But how do we have the influence? How much of your influence has been able to help Courtville attain the success it has attained today? And how much do we need to be able to be successful in our environment?
Okay, thank you very much. Influence is always a very good thing to have. But what is even more important than influence is the validity of your proposition, of the value that you are supplying. You are right that there's a lot of thinking going on in Nigeria. There's a lot of efforts and all that. But you see, originality is also key. In a lot of instances, originality is missing. There's nothing that can be cut and paste, or copy and paste, copy and paste that you bring it to. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. Because I'll tell you this. We did not copy Auto from anywhere. We knew what the problems were. We understood what the problems were. We have gone through the problems ourselves. We have felt it. We knew what we were feeling. We knew what we needed to solve. And we went after each and every one of those challenges, made them our objectives, and sorted them out. Now, imagine if they had given us the opportunity in Lagos State or in federal government to say, come and automate the system for us, and we now just go over, like a lot of people do in Nigeria here, go over to Dubai or to China or to America or to Europe to go and buy or to go and, franchise. It can never solve our problem, because you cannot solve a problem that you haven't felt, as far as I'm concerned. So there's hardly any originality in a lot of things we're doing. And a lot of in the process chain of what we call technology, there's a lot of dependence on what comes from outside. Let me explain this to you. We touted and we still tout Autoreg as a homegrown, home developed, home understood, home designed, and home implemented solution, and that is all it is. Now we did all this effort. We made up this effort at solving problems because we knew the problems needed to be addressed. But the problems, if you look at it, and we're talking about poor road network, poor compliance, whatever, poor government support, poor this, poor that, poor power. We had all this in mind. Most of these challenges exist only in Nigeria, a lot of them. And the moment you step this line across the border, please at them in the road system. Once you cross the border, it just becomes very different. So when you saw like what we can solve in Nigeria to address a simple universal need, do you know that it becomes an overkill when it comes out of Nigeria? Once it steps out of Nigeria, it's an overkill, because they may not have that problem of power. They may not have a problem of people compliance, civil compliance. They may not have that problem of poor internet. They may not have that problem of government support. They may not have a lot of the problems that we have addressed. Each and every one that we have addressed. So when it goes outside Nigeria, they become overkills. But we need to do that here. So that is why there is no cut and paste that you can go and bring, because they wouldn't have designed it with the understanding of what we have gone through or what we are going through. But then let me tell you, in the period between 2005 and 2007, I shut down the whole of the financial services operation of Courtville in order to focus on the research, design, and development of the Autoreg system. Zero revenues coming in. I was paying staff from my savings. I was paying only myself and my deputy.
But how did you have the belief? How did you have the belief that it was going to be a success? The Autoreg. There must be a reason behind it.
We believed but there were no guarantees. We believed in what we had. We believed in what we were going to do, but there were no guarantees. We also knew something, that what we were doing had not been done anywhere else in the world. And the first thing we did at that time was, as soon as Jaja came, and this is very important for most tech entrepreneurs, as soon as Jaja came, and we started designing it, the research work was going on. I mean, we focused on just that. Immediately, I ran to the CAC to do the intellectual property work. Patented it, trademark what we needed to trademark, and then waited before we started marketing it. Please note that for you to be able to achieve, to get any patent approval anywhere in the world, you must be sure that there's not any part, no part of that process or that business can be seen on the internet or anywhere. You're going to run into trouble getting the approval. Once it is visible out there, there is no longer novel.
Yes.
So that is one thing that young people must first understand. Do your intellectual property. It's not very expensive. Now, we shut down operations and we took that loss up for a while. Then we started marketing. Because we knew people, we did not know people, it didn't matter. I'll tell you this, at the time that we were marketing Lagos State in 2005, 2006, we were marketing another entity. As a matter of fact, let me be open, we are marketing FCT concurrently, along with Ogun State. Now, we've been in Lagos State, giving them what they need for the past 13 years. We've been in Ogun State. We are yet to be in FCT. I'm not saying they are not doing anything there. But then, where you have a universe of data, of databases or data that allows you to interact with each other, because state data are separate. It's only country that has, the wherewithal to be able to say, let them talk to each other. So any state whose database is not tied to what we have cannot do what I'm talking about. So it is impossible for you to steal a vehicle in Lagos State and go and register it in Ogun State or your state or Ekiti State, for that matter, or River State. But if you steal one where we don't work in Nigeria here, because it's a single solo operated system, it can be taken anywhere. And that is what we are saying. Now, influence is about first what value you are proposing. What is your value proposition? It must solve the problem. It must say, we needed to be sure that it did not lead to job losses. We needed to be sure that it was going to increase revenue. We needed to be sure it was going to save costs. Everything that we set out to achieve, we have achieved and more. To the extent that states introduce us to each other to say, look, go with Autorex. Go with Autorex. Go with Autorex. You won't go wrong. So, and the same thing with NAFDAC, the same thing with NIE, the same thing with everything we do. Now, a lot of our products have been recognized and awarded, prizes internationally and locally. It is because they are locally designed, locally, developed and locally implemented. Because when we do, it can't be compared with anything else outside here. Our challenges are numerous. Once you address them, overkill out there.
Wow. So sir, what you're saying right now is that influence starts not from who you know, but from your solution, what you are solving.
Yeah, what you are bringing, what are you? That is what an entrepreneur is. That is what does entrepreneurship. You must be able to have something. It doesn't matter whom you know. Just because you know the governor does not mean it shouldn't mean that it's going to allow you to come and fleece the state with any poor product. And entrepreneurship is being able to offer some value proposition for which a third party, independent party is willing and able to pay for. That's one definition of entrepreneurship.
Wow. It's wonderful. We are getting so much from this conversation, because some people will think that, who do you know? You have this solution, but it's not, you just kill it. If you don't know someone, one or two people, it may not work. So it means that you have to take whatever solution you have through that test. What value is it providing? What solution, what problem is it solving before it becomes influential?
Definitely.
Wow. Yeah, it's useful. So now, when we come back to your entrepreneurship, your tech background again, how did you, what hurdles did you cross from building a tech enterprise from just a regular tech enterprise to a PLC quoted on the Nigeria Stock Exchange.
That is the disruption that is the disruption that needs to be attended to very, very quickly by some very bright, intelligent young entrepreneur. We shouldn't be doing this.
Wow. So, sir, we're talking about your hurdles. What the hurdles you've crossed from being, I mean, as a tech entrepreneur? What are building an enterprise that you took to the stock market? What were the challenges you passed? So that when we are passing through this,
I was explaining that my background has nothing to do with technology at all. As we speak, I'm still very, very poor in terms of awareness and usage of tech, services. But you see, I'm a businessman, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a manager. And what we do as entrepreneurs, as managers and leaders is to manage resources to the best of to optimize resources. Now, just because I do not have a background in technology, I can't even use anything beyond my phone, does not mean I cannot run an institution that is entirely, about technology. What I have is a system that produces what is needed through technology. And I have no role to play except to put the resources from A, add to B, put it through C, and come out. You see, I'm right there. I have a full team of about 15, 20 young men and women, Nigerians, working in the IT space as a department for me. I know what I want to ask them to do. I know what to expect if they do what I've told them to do. So there's a black box in between them and I. What comes out of that black box is what they do. What comes out is what I see, and it should be what I expect. If it is not, it goes back. I'm a businessman. It doesn't matter whether it's a petroleum company, an oil and gas company, a bank, or an IT company. I will run it to the best of my ability, because all you need to do is just to optimize the resources at your disposal. Now, we started as a financial services company, but what exposed us to the investment market, investor market, was our visibility at that time very, very small on Autoreg. Because at that point, when we were lucky enough to catch the tail end of the robustness of the financial services of the investment system in 2017, 2018, that was when practically everyone was jumping into the stock market, and there were lots of what you call private placement activities going on there. We were able to. We were one of the last few companies to catch that train, and we did because we had something to sell, because people knew us for what we were doing, because they recognized what we were doing, and they knew we knew what we were doing. We had something to offer the market. And let me explain. At this time, 2009, we were only doing Lagos and Anambra states, 2 states. But we knew that we needed to be able to raise that capital to expand, because it requires you to expand. Chasing after a state, it requires you to travel back and forth, be patient, spend money to do a lot of things. Because it takes a lot of patience and money and a lot of funds to do this. We needed to raise money. We wanted to raise 1 billion. In 2008, and we went to the market. We were convinced to do a private placement. We wanted to open the bid for 1 month, but in 3 to 4 days, we already got to 1.53 billion. So I didn't need much more than that, if as much as that. So we shut it down in 3 to 4 days, and we closed the offer. And we had promised all our investors that we will allow them to be able to, move their investment, their shares on the trading platform. So by 2009, February 2009, we were able to go there and list at the stock exchange. So that is how we became a PLC that is quoted on the stock exchange. Not many companies of our size, of our age, that went into that same effort can still be seen now. They are either not even on the stock exchange at all, or they are totally dead. But we thank God. Everything has been because of the grace of God. And we thank God that we are here and alive. We've had about 13 AGMs now. We've had a lot of things going on. And you keep expanding. It was a small business of about less than 10 people. Now you have 270 staff. The challenges will come. The challenges will come at every step of the way. But your role as an entrepreneur, as a business, or even as someone that says he or she wants to add value, is to be able to either go around, go through, go over, or go behind, under the challenges and get to your destination. It does not matter what it will come. Challenges will come. Know that. And failures will come. Failures will come, and we've had our share of failures, our share of challenges, our share of successes. But the successes that you see, the 3 or 4 or 5 services that you're all aware of, you don't know about the 50 or 100 that we have failed at. When I ask people how, if they know, I ask them, do you know how many patents of services and products that companies like giants like Apple, Google, what's it called, that they have? We are talking of IBM. They have close to a million each.
Yes.
So how many Apple products do you know? How many? If
Sure.
Apple has over 600,000, how many do you know? You know the iPhone, you know the iPad, less than 10. That is why you must be aware.
Are you saying that as an enterprise, you must be resourceful, come up with as many solutions as possible, and then if a few goes through, then you are a success?
Well, I wouldn't put it quite like that. I will tell you, in the words of the young people of these days, you just need only 1 or 2 or 3 to blow. All right? You cannot set your mind at, I'm going to do so many. Let me cast out my net and maybe I will catch about 3. No. Each time you are going out there with the strongest of the beliefs about what you are supposed to. But what you think is going to work will not always be. Otherwise, we'll all be like Bill Gates, like Bezos. We'll all be. If everything, and it will not be normal. If there are no hitches, if there are no bumps, if there are no failures to set you back, you set your mind, you set your system, you will not know. I mean, because it's not normal for everything to just the trajectory to just be all on the upswing. You will fail at certain things. You will spend money, you will waste money, but you only need 1 or 2 or 3 to blow. Do you know for how long? Do you know for how long Twitter's made losses? Do you know for how long WhatsApp was there on the shelf? Do you know everybody was using it for free? Zoom just started, doing something. You don't know what will come and project you and just position you to be the lifeline of things. You continue to pray to God all the time. That look, let it blow. When I say blow, not explode. Blow in the sense of the Nigerian. We know. That's it.
So, sir, I'll take you back to your stock market experience. So you mean before I go to the stock market, if I have a great idea, I must have made it work for a while, and if it's good enough, then I can now list it or take it to the stock market for private placement? Or what are the processes involved? Because I think you have a banking background and it was easy for you to put all of this together. But for us that are in the private sector, what do we do about it?
Okay, I'll tell you this quickly. My banking background had nothing to do with it. Totally zero to do with it. Now, I was lucky enough to have consultants that advised at the appropriate time to do the right thing. Right? Now, in terms of whether you could go before you have something or when you already have something, well, I think it really depends. At that time, we had the potential to expand. We had a service. We had what you call the value proposition that could interest, an investor. But we also had something that God had provided that had nothing to do with what we are carrying. We had a stock market system, or investment climate and system globally. Remember 2006, 2007, 2008, when everybody was going to borrow and throwing money at us? We had that. And we were lucky enough that came. It hasn't come back since then. We were lucky to have caught that train towards the tail end of it. We were the most lowly rated or lowly priced in terms of what we were supplying. I had a consultant that had about 4 or 5 of us go to the market. Of all of us, we are still the most visible as we speak. the one that is most active. And it is not because we knew how to do it better than anybody. The market was there. It was already tapering, but we caught it at the tail end. But then it wasn't just enough to be blind and say, oh, everybody was going to the stock market. Let us go. We'll be able to invest. But we had something that they knew authority. They knew quite a bit of it. And we're also able to package it to say, this is what you can do. You have to have your projections that is believable, that could be visible. Told me that, look, we have not created wealth in a while. This was about 4 or 5 years ago. We haven't created it. Right. That 2009, 2008, 2009 period was a time that I would say that, yes, we created wealth. Because from a size of about 150 million in terms of our balance sheet size, less than 200 million, suddenly our valuation took us beyond 2 billion naira overnight. Even if it's just on paper, it's nice to be considered a billionaire. Even if it's just on paper.
Yes.
Because it was on paper. It was on paper. And then you had a kind of visibility that allowed you to say, okay, this is what we have done. Whenever you are going through such processes, design the process, document it. Document it. We had auto-reg in 2 states. We knew we could start an e-commerce business. We knew we could grow a database that would be useful beyond just the states. Now, the database is used by the police, by FRSC, by states, by marketing companies, by everybody needs what we have. And let me tell you something. In the process of doing the research, before we started the authority, and I had to do it, we spent a lot of money, but we came up with something that was non-existent in Nigeria at all, or anywhere in the world. A database of vehicles and vehicle owners in Nigeria that was closest to the best, anybody could have at that time. And that was what we sold. That's what we sold. We sold it because we could show people that we've been able to go around states, pull records, independent of the records that the states were holding. Did a lot of, permutations and all that. Came up with a database of being able to determine each state had so many vehicles as at this time. It allowed the rest of the authorities to come to us, including FRSC. They started working with the police. I mean, yes, all of them come to us when it has to do with motor vehicles or motor vehicle owners. And we've been able to expand this then. So we have something to sell to the stock market, to the investment community. We have something to show them. You cannot just be a trader, for example. I mean, just because you're in the market trading, you are selling rice like just anybody else is selling. You must have some value that says the way you are selling the rice is different from the way others are selling, and it's going to do a lot better than what the general community is doing. We have something that was unique. We have something that was sellable. We have something that was useful. We have something that we could be proud of, and we pushed it.
Wow. So I'm going to ask you, or I was going to ask you, but I'm still going to ask you about your model, your business model. But I'll rephrase the question. What it looks like is that you look at the society and look at the strain, the friction. There's a problem in getting auto-reg, vehicle registration solved. There's a problem with NAFDAC registration. So you look at the friction where we have the most friction, and then you come up with an automated, a tech-based solution to solve this problem. Now, with Nigeria as it is, we still have lots and lots and lots of problems in all these situations. It looks like your company is going to be needed in the next 10, 20, 30 years. If this is your model, is this your model?
I explained it. Look out for the gaps and the overlaps. The gaps and the overlaps in systems and processes, in procedures and processes. The gaps and the overlaps allows you to determine where the inefficiencies are. I'm a qualified, I'm a chartered accountant. I've been one for about 30 years now. In our training, one of the things we learned in audit is that controls break down when there are gaps and overlaps. And I applied it to everything I do, because where there are gaps and overlaps and controls break down, then it creates inefficiencies. The inefficiencies are the things that you are trying to solve. And the sky is so wide for Nigeria. It's such a virgin market. It's such a virgin forest for these solutions. We don't need to go out there to look, because they don't even know what we are facing here. They don't.
Yes.
Now, you have mentioned about 3 of what we do: NAFDAC, NIA, Auto-Reg, and maybe a few places. But imagine how inefficient a lot of procedures and processes are. And how you can say, where is that gap? A gap is where you have a process that is supposed to be A to D, and you have A, B, then you jump to D. There's no how that process can be efficient. Or you have an overlap where you have A, B, C, then B, before you go to B, C back. It creates over. And with a system like Nigeria, if it's already perfect, then where would you find opportunities? In Nigeria, when things are not perfect, in the process of trying to get them perfect, you create solutions for these inefficiencies of gaps and overlaps. And that is where the opportunities are. That is where we are placing ourselves. That will continue to be our model, and we'll always stick with that.
Oh, wow. So let me just talk to the audience briefly. What Courtsville has taken to the market is the problem in Nigeria. They've not taken any other thing to the market. They've just taken a digital solution to the problem in Nigeria, to the stock exchange. And that's why they're in business. And that's why they will continue to be in business in 50, 20 years, 30, 40 years time. That's how wonderful it is. So, sir, you've got an influence beyond Nigeria in East Africa and other African countries. What country in Africa excites you the most when it comes to digital technology solutions, and why?
Well, I'll tell you this. Our experience over the past 10 years or thereabouts around Africa has not been particularly, nice, very nice ones. Our experience has not been particularly nice. We started out as early as 2010 or so, thereabouts, in Sierra Leone. Gave them what they've never had before. What they've never had before, and when they still don't have till now. We had a 10-year contract, and in 6 months, it was, cut short. Suddenly, we had nationalism suddenly came up. These Nigerians have come to take over. They have done everything became political. Oh, people were carrying flag cards, even though it was a locally registered company with local entities with us, working with us. Now, look at, we invested a lot. I mean, they were eventually, did what they did. We have suffered the same fate. Let me not name countries. What I can tell you is that we are not particularly well received or liked across Africa. It's particularly bad. It's the worst along West Africa. All right? East Africa is not so bad. Well, they will let you come in. I mean, they will look at you, bring in your investment, and then see what they can do. But they will never support whatever it is, as far as I'm concerned. The same thing, North of Africa and South of Africa. We have set up offices, but we've never been. I ask this question. There is, in a particular, for supposedly broader nation, not far, about 2 dots away from us, there is an unwritten, an unspoken policy, government policy, civil service policy, not to allow, as far as I'm concerned, Nigerians will never get anything. And I've asked these questions. This particular country, tell me which Nigerian businesses are flourished. No, because it doesn't matter what you are supplying. The value proposition is never good enough for them to allow you come and run it. Now, why did we have to go across the pond to America? We've tried all sorts of models in Africa. We've gone to set up companies. We've gone to partner with companies. We've gone to partner with government. We've gone to partner with, we've had companies, local companies front for us. We've done everything that we can. But the Nigerian factor is such a disabling factor that it becomes very difficult for us to continue to sustain the interest in Africa. We've been fantastic in Jamaica. Went in very low in terms of our investment, expanded, and is doing wonderfully. Limited amount of investment is expanding, and now it is more interesting for us to go across the pond. We are also in Trinidad and Tobago. We haven't started there, but it's a place that we can start. So we understand the islands of the Caribbean a lot better. There are a lot more. Once they can see what you are bringing, and you are not asking their government for anything, it's easier. But in the rest of Africa, it is not. My experience is that I suffer as a Nigerian outside Nigeria. And I also come home and I also suffer as a Nigerian in Nigeria. And it's unfortunate because they like our money. I gave an interview about 10 years ago. I said West African countries, they like our money, they love our money, but they don't like us. And that is the way it is. It's a reverse one kind of thing. Bring in your money. I've lost in Liberia heavily. I've lost in Sierra Leone. I've lost in Zimbabwe. I've lost. But we keep on making this effort. So our African expansion, business has not been in the best of, experiences. And I can tell you, let's look at Dangote in East Africa. Look at all that investment. Is it Zambia or Uganda? And the villagers suddenly rise and say you cannot do this. It happens everywhere where nationalism is what matters to them. And where their heads are not helping, all right, you can hardly do anything. Why should my government not support me the way their governments are keeping all this, all of us out? And that is why I will tell you this. And now you haven't asked me this. This African Trade Committee, or AFCTA thing, it is something that I particularly, given the opportunity, will go against each time it is brought to the table, because Nigeria will be the one to be left to carry the burden for everybody. Everybody, we will be passed off as the carrier of all the crap coming from other countries. Our government doesn't care. And I say this, I learned this a long time ago. If Nigeria wouldn't care for me, then I can care for myself as a private entity. It doesn't mean that they don't like me. But if the Chinese economy is that big, second biggest in the world, because of the policies and the actions of his government.
To protect them.
Yes. And the Indian government is totally absent, despite the size of the economy of India. It is the private sector doing it. Why shouldn't I adopt an India model? I say, I don't have to wait for government. I don't have to wait for government. I can, as a private sector operator, I can do things that does not require me to get government to say, okay, go ahead and do this, or support me in any way. That, see, when you travel, at least up until Corona COVID thinking, the longest queue at Lagos Airport is the one that has Nigerians. The longest queue at immigration is the Nigerian queue. When you get to where you are going abroad, the longest queue is the one that includes the lines for Nigerians. When you are coming back, because of you are there, the queue of the citizens of the is the shortest. Because you are Nigerian, you are in the longest queue. Then you get home to come back, you are still on the longest queue. What have I done? So we are going to have to make the best of what we have. And it is mostly with the fact that the economy, the private sector itself is robust enough to generate the kind of, value that we have had. It's not largest economy in the world, in Africa, sorry. It is, and it's not even fully measured. Not because we worked hard towards it. God has been kind. Not because we have to work, but we found ourselves there because of the private sector, and we will continue to do the best we can. We will continue to do the best we can to project the nation, not just the government, but the nation. We will continue to do it.
Wow. It's wonderful. So you're not in, if I want to put it in plain language, you're not in support of the inter-African trade because of the fact that we are being marginalized in all these countries.
We will be eventually. We will be.
Yes. Okay. So sir, I want to ask you one very sensitive question. Very, very sensitive. And then we go to a very question that has to do with who you are as a person. Have you faced situations where you have to go above board to get your solutions registered or pass through the government regulation in terms of, okay, hey, this person is saying, we are not going to give you, even though we know you have the best solution, your solution is giving us the influence and all this, but we are not going to give you the approval because what's coming to us? How did you manage this situation?
All right. that is part of what you live with as a businessman every day. You maintain your position. You stake your claim from the beginning. This is who I am as a business, not as a person, as a business. There is a bank. Like there are one or two banks that I know that will never ever consider much work in public sector because they know that it entails some level of interaction with people not above the table. A bank, Citibank will not even give you gift items ordinarily, right? But they are ready to stay. They don't need anything in government. They don't need anything. All their businesses come. How many times have you been marketed by a Citibank marketer officer? Have you ever come across one on the road? So they don't. If they don't need you for anything, they don't have to give you anything that you don't need. All right. And the same thing with a bank like for example, GT Bank. But then we have different models operating. If you are dealing with public sector, it's a difficult thing to get away from. If you want to get away from it, you will not succeed. I allow my strength to play where I know I will play best. I'm a businessman. The reason why I'm not there attempting to program and code is because I don't have the skills for it. I employ people that can do it. When I'm going to have interaction with government, I will sell what I have. I will give them what I have. But I can tell you, if we have gone around every single state in Nigeria, I'll tell you, we have gone around every single state in Nigeria for the past 13, 14 years, and we are still only in about 22, 23 states. You can imagine what that means. It's not because even when you want to play the games once in a while, you are saying, let me have the business. So that, if you're a stakeholder, then we will talk. But sometimes it doesn't work out like that. And sometimes it's just outright political. Oh, because they think you are in this particular party or camp, which is not sensible, because as a business person, you can't play roles in camps.
Yes.
You can't afford to. But it doesn't matter, because a government, every 4 years, when you have a change in state government, our system shakes a bit. But we got used to it. We adjusted our systems for it. And then we know that even where there are changes in administration, all right, we have enough strength and enough depth in the system for them to say, even if they are going to say, oh, okay, it's a new government, they are going to throw them out. We know that the value that we are proposing, that we are providing, will be good enough for us to continue to be relevant, at least until they get to understand what we are doing in the first 1 or 2 years. We've lost businesses because they've called us, oh, they are close to this particular godfather. We've lost businesses because of this party. Now, another party, the same party, got to the government in another state, and they removed us because we were not. We were supposed to be children of godfathers or the other party. It's always happening. But what cannot change is the value that you have. Yes. If the value that you have is good, when they go, and it happens all the time, we've lost states that we are back into. When they go and they see the poor state of what they find themselves, where they find themselves, they will come back if they are reasonable. Not all of them. Wow. Not all of them are reasonable. Not all of them. It will not be rational that they will employ all the time. But you continue to stick with your originality, the quality of your service, the robustness of your service. But please, for God's sake, do not put your eggs in all your eggs in one basket. Have have a spectrum of, all right, even if a few drop out, you still have a sizable mass to continue. Yes, that's it. We can't get away from it. We're always facing that every time.
Well, so let me tell you guys what I just learned from this now is that it's an environmental factor. We cannot run away from it. If you have your eggs well spread in several baskets, it means that you may not find yourself in a position where you have to compromise. So find a way to spread your eggs very well so that you're not called in that situation. Otherwise, you may fall victim of it. Thank you so much. That's a wonderful take home from us. So what tips would you give an entrepreneur, a budding entrepreneur in the tech world in Nigeria? What tips are you going to give them so that they can hold on to when they're going home?
All right. So sometimes often I give this. I have these sessions with entrepreneurs, mostly in tech, and they call it the Go Beyond series. It's organized by the tech entrepreneurs themselves. They are all people that have been in business for over 5 years, and they come around and I just share my experience. And I talk about a lot of things. One of the things I talked about recently is the fact that opportunities will always come. There are always opportunities in there everywhere. And it is the readiness that matters when the crunch comes. How ready are you to take advantage of opportunities? How ready are you? You see, opportunities will come not just to you. It's floating, it's passing by. You grab the ones you can. And I had a question at some of these sessions, at some of my mentoring sessions. How many of us wake up at the beginning of every year and set targets and budgets, and the resolutions and all that, and say, I want to do that, I want to do that. And when you compare, and I did this unofficially, a study, compare, working with a number of mentees over about 3-4 years. And I asked that question at the end of the beginning of the following year. Last year, you set all these goals. We both set, right? So how many of these goals were achieved? Usually, the very best that I can remember of achievement is about 40%. 40%. But then I asked them, so how many, if you have to review the whole of that last year, all the good things that came to you, including your goals, how many would you say? Oh, it's a lot. God was kind. I said, good. So weigh them, the ones you planned for and the ones you did not plan for. How? Yeah. And the ones you did not plan for, the one that God dropped on your laps, are always far, far heavier than the ones you planned for.
Wow.
Now, the question is, how do you get to convert more or to harvest more of those opportunities that you did not plan for, invest in, pray towards, work towards, put any money, did nothing, and they still came? How do you harvest more of this? It's about being ready. Be ready, always, like the Boy Scout. Be prepared. Be prepared in what area? Be prepared in what area? And this is part of what I'm putting together in the book, because these are my own, what's it called? My own management, opinions, right?
Yes.
Now, be prepared, like the Boy Scout. Always be prepared. Be ready. Be prepared in 5 different ways. Because if you are not prepared, you will miss these opportunities. And they will go on to the next person who will be better prepared. You have to be, 1, spiritually prepared, because you have to even pray to God to open your eyes to opportunities when they come. Because sometimes you don't see them. 2, you have to be physically ready. You cannot, at the time when there's an opportunity, for example, that I give, opportunity to go for a study in Harvard from the company, sponsored, and you're supposed to come back and be a manager or a general manager. And it's that time that you are now, about 8 months pregnant, being qualified, but that your physical state disqualifies you.
Yes.
You cannot be positioned to be able to say, okay, go and present or pitch your idea in Europe, America, and that is when you are now going to go and start getting the Nigerian passport to apply for visa. That's physical readiness. Be ready all the time. You have to be emotionally ready. You have to be emotionally ready to do things that you need to do. You have to be mentally ready to do things. But very, very importantly, the 5th one is to be financially ready. It is not when they say in a recession, when everybody is selling all assets, that you that have been hoping to become a landlord in Lagos or Abuja or whatever, forever, suddenly have some very cheap whatever thrown at you. Something that is worth 50 million, buy it for 10 million. That's where you want to go and start applying for a loan, where you do not have the resources to be able to attract. Be ready. Because when the opportunities come, you either have to go be able to take them, or they will pass. And you never know when it will ever come back, if it ever does. That is my own advice to everybody.
Wow. Thank you so much, sir. This is a loaded section. I want to ask you just 2 more questions. What's your favorite quote? What's the quote that guides you on a daily basis?
Well, it's not a quote per se. It's just a philosophy that just be as good as you can ever be at anything that you are doing. Just be honest. Just be good at it. Just be fair. I try in everything I try to be a good person, first and foremost. Because even as a Muslim, you cannot be a good Muslim when you are a bad person. It doesn't matter how much knowledge, how much spirituality you have. You cannot be. a good Muslim if you are not a good person to start with. So I try to be good in everything I do, because it's only then that you are selflessly good to everything, towards everyone, towards, in every direction.
Yes.
That God provides. God provides. God, it's only God. The grace of God leads you into everything. And the fear of God keeps me on my toes every time, every day, everywhere.
Wow. If there's something I found out is that for most of the people I've interviewed and those I've read about so many books about different people, is the fact that there's this thing about spiritual, that their spiritual knowledge. They are conscious of their spiritual side. They don't play with it. So how come people want to be great without being conscious of their spiritual side? We have to deal with this in the audience. Anyway, sir, I'm going to ask you that question now. What books are you reading right now?
None.
Sir, but what to read?
None. Okay, let me explain why. I had read books, but I got tired of reading about people, except it's fiction. I'm tired of reading motivational. I can't read motivational. Now, my own management policy, my own management style, my own management, attitude to how to lead, how to manage resources is quite, different from what I read. After all through my studies, I studied management and leadership and all that. But I don't like to try to place myself in the position of, this is what this person did. Because their circumstances will probably never be present for me. I would never, Facebook was there. It probably was staring at a lot of people in the face. But it took one person to come and just put it together. If Bill Gates had an idea that Facebook, he will have done it. Circumstances will be different. So I will not be interested in anything that they've gone through, except to know that, look, when my opportunities come, or when my opportunity comes to blow, I am ready. And my own guiding principles are what I have learned from my 34, 35 years of being in some industry or the other, or being close to people that I've seen work. It's nothing theoretical. Everything I talk about are things that I have seen happen, that I have done myself, I know have worked. All things that I'm here to test, because I believe in them. So I don't read. I read fictions these days, not books.
This is very, very different. Wow. I'll try and reconcile that and see what I can learn from that. So, sir, do you cook?
No, not to save my life. No.
Not anything.
Maybe 2 items. I can cook yam, rice, and fry eggs.
But the rice you asked you. Fried eggs.
I can't cook. I guess I'm spoiled that way, but I also am sensible enough to know that if there's nobody around me to help me, I suffer in silence. I manage. I'm not a foodie, so I can always cope with whatever I think I can prepare for myself and whatever is available. So it's a fair trade.
You suffer in silence. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate this time that we spent with you. It's wonderful knowing so much about you, both from the business. But in fact, we really need you to put this kind of knowledge in a book, because at this age now, it's time to transfer it to the next generation. We want to know. We really, really want to know. We'll be very happy to be a part of it. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you. And we do hope that when we call you,
thank you. Continue looking out for that. It's always streamed online, streamed live online. Continue looking out for the great, for the sessions on going beyond sessions, going beyond series. All right, going beyond series. And the idea is that, look, now that we have set up, now that we've been in business, what next? And what next? Like I always tell them, what next do I do? Because that is what it is. Everybody must have that what next, attitude. What next? What next must be. See, it doesn't. If you ask the most junior staff in my office, they probably will tell you what I'm about to say. For me, what next means that it doesn't have to be three things. It doesn't have to be the most, logical step for you to take. It doesn't have to be the most obvious. And it does not have to be the most popular. Because those three allow you to stay within your comfort zone or within the box. It is only outside the box, or when you totally disregard the box of its existence, that you can come up with something that nobody else has done. It does not have to be the most logical, the most obvious, or the most popular. That is the next thing. That is what the Going Beyond series is all about. And if you watch it once in a while, when we can all still come together, it holds in a hall here, and it's free for everybody. So it's always free.
We will use our platform to also push it and also learn from it and follow it. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate
Thank you. Take care.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Hey, what can I say? The rest is you. We've packed a lot from this knowledge section. If you are ready to get to the next series of your life, there's a What Next series from Dr. Bola Akindele, and also there's a lot of nuggets from what he has said. What we are going to do is to create snippets from these nuggets and share with the audience, those that are online right now and those that are going to be online in future, so that they can also benefit from it. Thank you so much for the Gage Live series. Joanne, thank you for ever being what you are, trying to make sure that we're constantly doing this. And every other person that joined online, we appreciate you. Yeah. Take care. Have a good one.